that it's the kind of game that Arsenal really can't afford to lose because, you know, ironically, Wenger says that Rooney's worth every penny of £200,000 a week. It's exactly the kind of money that Arsenal spend on players.
Yeah, I was just about to say, try and get it at Arsenal.
It's the kind of game that Arsenal really, you know, if they are ready for the Premier League, as Wenger says, they can't afford to lose to City today.
No, not really, no.
Yeah.
I mean, but City beat them 4-2. Last season was the Adebayor game. I mean, they've
when Adebayor ran to the, as Mark Hughes said afterwards, when Adebayor ran the length of the field, because that's where the most vociferous City fans are, in that corner.
So, yeah, in the Arsenal section. Yeah. I mean, they've beaten Chelsea the last 3 times. Is it three straight wins against Chelsea? I mean, they're good against the big teams, and they'll be difficult for Arsenal today. They'll be really difficult.
I think they'll stop. Today. I think they'll probably go with just Tevez up front. But I think
Adebayor, who scored the hat-trick in the Europa League, won't play.
I don't think so. I think they'll just play with Tevez. They'll play with the 2 holding midfielders, and then 3, and then 1. And I think they'll set out to stop Arsenal first of all. Which, all right, it's not the most exciting thing to do, but they'll
with Chelsea.
But they'll stop them from playing, and then they've got, you know, Johnson to. They're a very fit team. City as well, you know, late in games.
Didn't he build the hill at the training ground or something?
Yeah, had a hill built to get them running up and down for their resistance training.
Yeah. They're showing a lot more patience than they ever did, you know, in games. We saw that against Chelsea, where they kind of, you know, they almost played a counter-attacking game at home, really, against Chelsea. When it was very effective.
When you have so many players, is there a first 11 or not? Or does Mancini just juggle it and say, OK, this is what we're going to do today?
I don't think you've seen his best 11 yet. No. You know, Balotelli, I think, will probably really become one of his first 11 players, because by all accounts he's an explosive player who is extremely talented. Whether you know, in some games Mancini will go with 2 strikers, I'm not so sure.
I don't think we'll see Rocky Santa Cruz today, anyway.
Balotelli, I mean, by all accounts he's meant to be on the bench today, so we may get a glimpse of him, I don't know. But it's just keeping all those players happy, isn't it?
Well, they're sort of going on a few fronts, aren't they, with the Europa League and all that. You know, it was like a bit of a second heaven the other night, and it's still very good. Wright Phillips is another player they've got, which we haven't mentioned.
Yeah. Once they start winning things, Manchester, the whole picture becomes a lot easier for them, because then you can satisfy players, and you are able to say to players, look, we're winning things, and you'll play a part in that.
But they're also in a very strong position, City, where they can actually, they've got so much money, they can actually say, well, if you don't like it, see what you can get somewhere else. You know, off you go. I mean, he's literally, Mancini's concentrating on the players who want to do it for him. You know, even in training, I get the idea that, you know, right, you lot can go over there. This lot, you come over here with me.
Yeah, definitely should. And the other thing they've got going for them this season, actually, against Chelsea, is that once you get after Christmas, second half of the season, Chelsea in the Champions League, Man City in the Europa League. You can't rest players in the Champions League. You can't go to Real Madrid or Barcelona on a Wednesday night and say, right, we're gonna start with Salem Kalou up front, and we'll save Drogba for Saturday. City are in a competition where they can actually continue prioritising in the second half of the season. They can continue playing Adebayor up front if they want to. So there is less chance of City getting the fatigue hit that Chelsea will get come February, March, April. So a little while ago I went up and we did an interview with Mancini, and he said in that, all we've got, he said, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to be around in February. It's particularly after a World Cup year when players are tired. You don't know how tired Chelsea are going to become. All we've got to be, all I tell the players is, we have got to be near enough to Chelsea so that if that hits them, we're the ones that take advantage. And that's, you know,
Europa League is not as intense as Champions League.
Exactly.
Champions League is massively
if you get knocked out the Europa League,
especially in February.
Ancelotti said at the start of the season, I will probably rest later in the season players in the Premier League for the Champions League, which is their priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And as soon as you rest in the Premier League, you know, you've got a problem. Coming back to, say, that Inter Milan game, the 4-0 at half-time, Inter didn't really know what to do in the second half because Italian teams aren't used to being 4-0 up at half-time. In England, if you're 4-0 up at half-time, you tend to carry on pushing in the second half because English football is such. You can be you suddenly concede 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and now you're in a match again.
Well, your fans won't let you sit back in this country. You know, if you're 4-0 up, they want to see another 4 goals in the second half.
Yeah.
I made this point the other week when I was on here. I'd done a thing with Rio Ferdinand where he said, not the problem with English football, he said, but the main ingredient in English football is that if you keep the ball and just pass it around between stuff, as City are doing, and just keep in possession, and all, the fans go, get it up the field, attack, you know, and all this sort of thing. Whereas that doesn't happen so much in Italy and Spain. So if you're 4-0 up at half time, it's like, right, you know, another 4. And that's what Manchester United do, or used to do. If Manchester United were 2-0 up at half time,
well, they did it classically against Everton. They were 3-1 up with 2 or 3 minutes to go, and were still pressing for a 4th goal, and ended up drawing 3-3.
But they used to score the 4th and the 5th.
Do we think City will beat Arsenal today?
No, I think it'll be a draw. 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Arsenal without Wiltshire, but Fabregas is back. But I don't know.
I've got a sneaking feeling for City.
Yeah, I think City will win today.
I think it's big. It's another big test of where I think a lot of people are looking at the very fact we're talking about it. A lot of people are looking at City and still waiting to make their minds up. It'll be a big test today.
It's strange that people are doing that though, because they have got in the last year or so great results against the big. You know, everyone said, "Oh, this is a milestone match for them," but you think, well, I've beaten Chelsea 3 times. Put 4 past Arsenal. I beat Liverpool 3-0 at the start of the season when we now know that isn't the result that you thought it was at the time. But it was at the time when they were going into it, people were saying, well, we'll see what they're like against Liverpool. And they keep getting these results, and then people say, oh, well, the jury's still out.
I think it's just historically City fans are sitting there waiting for it all to collapse, you know, and the Sheikh to say, I'm a bit bored now.
When we look at the top of the Premier League, all the big players, all the money, there's a team in 4th place, West Brom, that no one would have thought could be there.
No.
But isn't that the glory of the Premier League? You know, someone like West Brom can still get into the top 4.
Absolutely. I mean, they're
not going to stay there.
No, they won't stay there, but they'll certainly survive. I think I can't see them going down. I mean, from what I've seen of them, Roberto Di Matteo's done a cracking
job.
there.